course of a lifetime that you never forget. And there was one such person that I met several years ago, a man that lived 5 miles upstream from here in a little log cabin that he'd built with his own hands. And he was the most vivid portrayal of old age that I've ever seen. And I've never forgotten the meeting I had with him on a spring day when a friend and I went out to visit this beautiful old man at his cabin. And when we arrived, he was sitting in the doorway, and he was framed in sunlight, sitting in a rocking chair and attempting to thread a needle. He never heard our vehicle come up. He never heard our footsteps. And we stood there for the longest time studying this beautiful picture. And at one point, he noticed my feet in front of him, and it startled him for a minute, and he sort of looked up, and I instinctively at that point offered to thread the needle for him, which he handed to me, and I did for him. And then he took us inside, and we sat in this cabin where his whole world was just gathered around him. It was all there. And he put a log on the fire, and he made us some tea out of this same creek water. And he walked around the cabin, and he wanted to explain to us how he had put this thing together, and he was very proud of it. And he said in his very Quebecois accent, he would say, c'est moi qui fais ça, c'est moi toute seule fais ça. And we studied him and sat with him and enjoyed his company and said that we'd come back and see him again. And it was shortly after that that I learned that he'd been taken to an old age home in the city. He was in his late 80s at the time. He's 96 now, and he'll stay with me for the rest of my life. The man's name is Marlowe. Marlowe doesn't live on the Kaywood Road anymore. They took him to the city, to a government old age home. And all of us eventually will wither and grow old. Marlowe doesn't live on the Kaywood Road anymore. The wood pile by the back shed, that's the work of his withered hands. The home he built out of local pine when he was a young man. And now they've got him in that city compound until he breathes no more. I wonder, Lord, would he rather die along the Kaywood Road? Well, last summer, Dollard shared a pot of Stag Creek country tea. He poured himself a shaky cup and one for Billy and me. And in leaving, we promised him we'd come again for sure. But Marlowe doesn't live on the Kaywood Road anymore. I guess progress teaches all of us we've got to pay its price. Electric lights are practical, but a lantern sure is nice. And don't trust your neighbor out of fear that he will get you first. And don't dare die until you've checked with the city officials first. This Dollard now is crying out for the only life he knows, cursing modern progress that took away his home. But one day soon his soul will come back to that cabin door, and he'll stare upon the pavement that they've laid on the Kaywood Road.